Well, while our guest speaker is getting ready for the photo op, just a little bit of more housekeeping as usual. After our next speaker finishes his presentation, I will kindly ask you to imagine that you are nitrogens and the chairs are carbon sides on a diamond. I need you to aggregate so we can do like a picture of all of us together. I know that nitrogen aggregation in diamond is a very slow process, but if we at least prepare mentally that after the finishing of our next speaker session, I will kindly ask you to aggregate as much as possible, standing up, and then the small people in front, the big people, Branco, in the back. So yes, that was the housekeeping for the day. So our next speaker needs no introduction. And I have a friend that says, expect the unexpected, which is not going to happen today with the speaker because you can expect a wonderful presentation from Vincent Pardieu. He's possibly the world's best known field gemologist. He has visited over 150 mining sites. I think he's the person, as Richard Hughes says, dead or alive, that has visited more mines in the world. He has worked for AIGS in Thailand, for GIA, for Gublin, for Danat in Bahrain. Now he's working for the Laboratoire Française de Gémologie, the French gemological laboratory, the oldest operating laboratory in the world that will celebrate 100 years in 2029. And he will talk to us about field gemology. He's also an author. Most of you know him. Monsieur Vincent, the stage is yours. Thank you very much, my friend.
Thank you, Rui. Can you hear me? Okay, that works. Okay, so thanks, first of all, to everybody here, to ICA, to people in Brazil to have invited me to give this talk today, and especially a big thanks to have given me 1 hour. You know that I don't speak too much, so 1 hour is a little bit quite a lot, and I will try to make it short. I will not speak 1 hour, so you will have a lot of time for questions. So today the topic of my talk is luck is not a business plan. So let's do a little bit first something about basically house cleaning, something about myself. So I started in this industry. My first job was a spinel buyer in Burma. So for 3 years, I was spending my time in the field with, Henry Ho, who was a spinel connoisseur, and I was his private buyer. And I was using, simple tool in order to be able to buy spinel for him in Burma. So and at the same time, I was teaching at AIGS. And my students were asking me about, how you can do if you want to buy, for example, in the field. And there was a great article that was published in Gem and Gemology in 2002 by Edward Böhm that I was all the time referring to people. And the name of the article, I never remember that name, Portable Instrument and Tips on Practical Gemology in the Field. I could never remember that name. And then when I was telling the people, they say, well, you have to go to see the field gemology article on basically Gem and Gemology. And this is the way that the wording field gemology was coined, because I could not remember this title. And I was using that at AIGS, and people complained to me that I was not speaking English correctly. My English was a little bit bastard English, and they asked me to remove that word field gemology. Then I was allowed to have my own website, and I called my website fieldgemology.com. So that was my own thing in 2005 when I was at AIGS, and I moved to Googling in 2007, and I continue, sharing what we are doing. And basically, when I was at AIGS in 2005, it's a very challenging place to be in a lab in Thailand and trying to do origin determination, because most of the stones in Thailand are not the same as in Paris, as in New York, as in Tokyo, or as in Switzerland. They are coming from new deposits, and there was no publication. Most of the stones we had in the lab, there was nothing about them. So we decided to go to the field in order to build a reliable reference collection, in order to be able to do origin determination. So this is basically field gemology. And in 2008, GIA asked me to come in Bangkok and build, a field gemology department for GIA. So the word field gemology gets the endorsement from GIA, which was good. So 2008 to 2017, I had the pleasure to work for GA and lead 84 field expeditions for GA. So the great thing is, currently I left, but GA is continuing doing that. And as you saw, at the first day, Wim was continuing to preaching, the right thing. If you want to do research in gemology, good research start with a reliable reference collection. So you have to know what you're getting from. Please go to the field, get the reliable sample, because if you do research based on wrong sample, all the work, all the good work, the instrument and the work of the people is a waste of time and resources. So if you want to have more information about field gemology, you can go on InColor, the past issue in 2020, and there is a whole article about the evolution of data collection and basically field gemology, what it means. Currently, I'm a consultant at VP Consulting, so I'm a single company with one person, and I'm working for different customers. For the past 20 years, basically, I visited colorstone mines around the world with all the time the same thing, trying to help people and laboratory to build reliable reference sample, and this is what I call field gemology. So it's not just about collecting the sample, as Wim said a few days ago. It's also, you get a privilege because when you go to collect the sample, you can witness what is going on in the field. So I was privileged to witness firsthand many aspects of colorstone mining all around the world, from small-scale mine to much larger one. I was able to see the beginning of some very important gem deposit, like here in Mozambique. I was the first one to go there in 2009 as a foreigner. Then this deposit has emerged into a very important supplier for rubies. It's a world full of contrast. So this is something that intrigued me also a lot. You have people working, with totally different background, different thing, and I really love it. You have big players, you have small players. And I found this diversity totally fascinating. So the great thing about going to the field, and from the field to the lab and to in this industry, and this is probably my favorite part about this industry, is everywhere I go, I found the same passion, for people to find gems. And this gem, enable to bring people from different culture, different region, different background together because they like the same thing. And this is one of the most beautiful things about this industry. It's not an industry just full of colorstone, it's an industry full of colorful people. And this is something that gives me a good feeling. Now, today, this month, I was in Brazil, and I led my 158 field expedition to visit Belmont mine, thanks to the help of Marcelo Ribeiro. And that was a super interesting experience because once again, I learned many things. And this is great because after 158 expeditions, I keep learning. So this is something that I really enjoy. Now, my next big project, this is in the next few months, I will be publishing my very first book about field gemology. And this will be the first one of a series of maybe 10 or 20 books until I get a little bit bored to write books, but I'm turning to book writing. So if you want to help me to support expedition, please consider to buy my book, that would be nice. So let's go now to the main topic. Luck is not the business plan, that's the topic of my talk. If you want to know more about that, you can go to the latest issue of InColor. You have a 15-page article, that starts with luck is not the business plan. And, you have a lot of content, especially with the case of Muzo that is covering, the whole history of emerald mining in Colombia. Now, my title is not luck is not a business plan, but actually in the colorstone industry, luck is the business plan. From what I have seen nearly everywhere, the main business plan in this industry is luck. So from discovery to mining, what is a typical evolution of a colorstone deposit? Well, there is a guy somewhere on the side of a road or digging, working somewhere, going in a river. He will do something, he will fish, he will hunt, he will search for gold, and he will find something that is nice. Sometimes the guy keeps quiet, but this is not really often. And most of the time, he tells about that, and very soon you have hundreds of people who go around. Like one of my friends was telling, when the lion make a kill, hyena are coming around. Or he was killed after that, because there were too many hyenas. That were Campbell Bridges. So what happened after that? Well, you have dealers coming. So dealers, gemstone merchants, they know a bit more than the others. But still, when you have these merchants who are coming, they look at the people, and still, for them, their plan is to get the luck to see a good stone coming to their table, because there is competition. So it's still about luck. They have some knowledge about what they buy, but they hope that a good stone will come to their place and they will be able to buy at a good price. So this is still something quite a lot about luck. Then the problem with this business model is you end up in a situation like that. Now, if you are lucky to have a good stone, the main problem is how you keep it. Because when you have 10 or 20,000 people around you, you find something good and valuable. The problem is everybody wants the stone. And not all the 20,000 people around are super nice. So if you succeed in any gem mining project, you find a place. Now your problem is, how can you succeed from your find? A gem mine is a place in the ground, it cannot move. You are mobile, you are a sitting duck. You are basically a target for many other people. Jealousy, greed, and things like that, you will have to deal with your success. And very few miners are able to deal safely with their success. So what is the most common way I see in the field when I see people? There is one way they all the time like in order to deal with this security issue, it's going underground. One of the great aspects about going underground is, the surface was worked by thousands of people. So, everything on the surface was mined. But people think, if I go deeper, I might get better stone. That's good. There is another big advantage about going underground. Nobody will see what you're doing there. So you don't have this crowd of 10 of people who will watch you when you will find something. So if you find something, you can tell everybody to go out, you deal with your pocket, and you leave the place quietly. So many people love to go underground. Now, when you go underground, the problem is most of the time you see nothing. It's much more easy, to check the geology, to understand the deposit. When you have, for example, like that, you have a big area, a big excavation, and you can see how the rock is going. When you are underground and it's dark. It's very complicated, especially if you don't have knowledge about geology. Very challenging. So there are some, this is where, you have some mining companies that come. They have people who are knowledgeable. And when you go underground, luck is not anymore the business plan. You go underground, you have $1 million, you mine in one direction because you think you're lucky. At the end, you have zero, and you still don't have enough stone. So if you go underground, going underground requires capital investment and knowledge. That's a challenge. The good thing is you have better security. So I was all the time fascinated about Colombia, and I will show you the case of Muzo. So what is fascinating in Colombia, in Muzo especially, is that there is gem mining there for 500 years, and they are still mining. How come? Do they have a never-ending supply of gemstone? There are several people here who told me, I think that, Madagascar, everything is gone, Sri Lanka, everything is gone, there is no more gem here, I don't see stone coming in the business. So there is no stone coming from there anymore, really, and there they are mining for 500 years and they still have stone. Why? So I was privileged to be able to go there. Colombia started like everywhere else. 500 years ago, maybe a little more, you had Muisca people, before the pre-Columbian times, they were not mining, they were collecting stone on the ground. Then the Spanish heard that, they saw there were some emerald, and they wanted to find the mine, and they were going around, they didn't find the mine. The story I heard is that one day, you had one of the Spaniards, they were, walking around with horses, and there was an emerald that was, that put itself, on the horseshoes. And then they found out that the horse just passed over a place with emerald. So then they found the location of the emerald mine in Muzo, and then they started to enslave the people and to make the people work, and they created the first mine in Colombia. So that was 500 years ago. Now, in 2024, I had the privilege and the pleasure to spend 10 days at Muzo, spending my time with the miner, having a breakfast, lunch, dinner, sleeping at the mine, and going every day, to see what they are doing. So it was great. So this is the way the Muzo emerald mine is looking now. So this mine doesn't look, that was not looking like that in the past. So this is the mine, here we are near a place called Puerto Arturo. that was very famous. That was the place of Victor Carranza. It's a very famous figure of the Colombian gem trade who helped to stabilize the trade after the period that was called the Green War. And, like many miners, when I go to visit them, after a while, after a long life working in a mine, most of the people I visit when I visit a mine, the first thing they're asking me, Vincent, can you bring me some investors? Everybody wants investors or customers or to sell the mine. So the Carranza family, they were able to succeed with that. There are many people, they never succeed to sell their mine or to get investors. But the Carranza family was able to sell the mine to some investors, and the investor came, and they came with a business plan. This is something that my friend and mentor, Jean-Claude Michelou from ICA, told me all the time. Vincent, it's nice that you went to visit, your Spinel, Ruby, Sapphire mine. If you want to learn about mining, you have to go to see emerald mine. Because emerald miners, they know what they are doing. So I went to Muzo, and I wanted to see what they were doing. I found a wonderful innovation. So this is the main innovation. This is something that I have never seen in the most cornerstone mine, before. This is a ramp. So for 3 years, and it's still ongoing, the investors, they build a ramp underground in order to, that enable to go to places that were never mined before. What is the advantage of a ramp? As I told you, it's underground, so you can control things. This is a much more efficient way to bring people underground and to bring ore outside of the mine. Before, they were doing underground, but it was difficult. The tunnel was small. They were using shafts. Now these shafts are used for ventilation. But to bring heavy machinery, to be able to bring enough stone out of the ground, you need to have an efficient technique. And this, they were getting that, with mining engineer coming from ore deposit, real serious mining from, I think, Mexico, and they designed this ramp. So now they can go inside the ramp with vehicles. They still believe in luck, and you see there is a statue of Virgin Mary. So miners, even if they have a good business plan, they still think that, luck is still a good business plan. So, and you can go down. Now, what is impressive there is the nature of the rock. In Muzo, the rocks are very challenging to work with because basically it's black shale, it's mudstone. So it's not the most, easy rock to make a tunnel. You have many tunnels that collapse. So they were able to build some structure with iron and timber in order to make the tunnel solid. That took a lot of resource, and maintenance also is kind of challenging. But this is efficient, and there are some trucks that are able to bring the production out, bring the people in, and navigate efficiently. They are able to bring also electricity, they're able to get Wi-Fi in the mine, they're also able to pump the water out. This is very efficient, and this is making the work process excellent. Security also, you can see the way, the tunnels are protected, everything, they are dealing about security because they just don't want to have any of the employees, that have an accident. So they put a lot of concern in the safety of the employee and the safety of the operation. Now, it's nice to have a tunnel, but you need to find the stone. And to find the stone, they're invested in a team of geologists. Some of them are young graduated, they went to study, and you have some experienced people. So they have a great team. You can see here 8 geologists, there are some more. And these people are working the whole thing. They have a 3D model of the mine. Everything that is produced, they put that in the 3D model. So they are able, thanks to that, to target the area where they think they are the most likely to find good stone. They provide the people, with safety equipment, the same thing as Tim was speaking about, mask to protect because it's emerald mine, there is a silica, and then also some glasses, and then some light. They have, it's really good. Now, it's not because you have the right equipment, you have the right software, the right technology that it makes the job of the geologist easy. They still have to find the stone. And when you are underground, in the mine, and it's wet, and it's that, and it's hot, it's not that easy. So the theory like that on a computer is nice, but the practice, I have a lot of respect for them. Now, one of the things that I found that I was amazed with is the way they use science in order to make the mining better. Most of the place I went when I visit mine, people, they go down. Most people think they go down. The problem when you mine down, there are several problems. If there is water infiltration, your mine gets flooded, your miner will die. And imagine when the place you have production is getting flooded, your mine is flooded. When you blast, for example, basically the waste will be covering the place you blast. So it will be difficult to extract the waste, extract the ore, and you will have to pump out. It's challenging. So they decided to mine up. So thanks to the ramps, they are going down, and then they go up. When they go up, when they blast, everything is going down. The ore is going down, so it's easy to evacuate the ore. And the geologists, they can see easily, all the front of the mine. When there is water infiltration, all the water is going away from the front place. So it makes the mining safer. So these techniques that are coming from ore mining company, it was the first time I saw that in a cobblestone mine. But I heard that recently, this type of technique are also implemented in some mine in East Africa, especially in a Tanzanite mine. I heard that there is one mine doing that with a ramp, and also in another place in Tanzania, but I'm not allowed to speak about. So these techniques are spreading, and there are many coming from Chinese miners. They have a lot of experience in serious ore mining, and they are bringing this technology in cobblestone mining. So at the end, the miners are able to work safely in order to get the stone. And then at the end, Muzo can provide to their customer, a consistent and a regular supply of emerald, even if the place was already mined for nearly 500 years. So any other interesting innovation in other emerald deposit? The interesting thing with emerald compared to ruby and sapphire are very hard. Hardness number 9, they survive in secondary deposit. Emerald, not too much, 7.5. Basically, nearly the same hardness as quartz. So emerald doesn't survive much in secondary deposit. So most of the emeralds, they are going underground. It's primary hard rock deposit, which is challenging. That's why there is a huge difference between ruby and sapphire mining and, for example, emerald mining. Most of the emerald mines are the biggest mining company in the cobblestone industry because of the brittle nature of the stones they are mining. Now, there are different models. You remember that photograph that I was showing you? This is a photograph from the Kajem Emerald Mine in Zambia when I first visited the mine in 2012. You see the size of the miner. The great thing when you have a mine like that is the mine front is a geology textbook. You can see the pegmatite, you can see the contact zone between the pegmatite and the chromium-rich rock. So you can plan, you have a good idea where are the emerald. The emerald are the contact between the chromium-rich rock and the barium-rich pegmatite. Simple. So this type of mining is very efficient because the geologists can really see what they are doing and they can plan the mine correctly. Now this mine looks like that. This is the largest open pit mine in the world, and they know what they are doing. Now the only thing they have is, you see they are mining about 150 meters down, and the pit is 2 kilometers long and 1 kilometer wide. So every time they advance 1 meter, to get the ore, they have to remove 160 meters of waste. So the costs are getting higher and higher. At one point, they will probably have to go underground because open pit will be too expensive compared to the market production. Now, this is what happened to another mine, the Belmont mine. You see the Belmont mine, they also started, like everybody, there were people on the surface, and then Belmont, they started working the thing. They started with an open pit, but you see, they are on one side, there is a hill, and on the other side, there is a railroad. So how to expand the pit? You cannot. There is a railroad and there is a river. So more than 20 years ago, they had to go underground quickly. So they decided to go underground, and this is at the time when Marcelo Ribeiro took over the mine, and for him going underground, it was serious work. So they have 25 years experience now about mining underground. The great thing they have is, unlike in Colombia, the rock are very solid. So they can make wider tunnels, and they can bring heavy equipment. And this is the last innovation I have seen at Belmont. They have hydraulic drilling, that they don't even need to have, basically to work with electricity. And for the past 3 years, they have a solar plant. So this mine is working on renewable energy with electric. They have also another innovation. They were the first one in 2005 to start optical sorting. You know, sometimes a cornerstone mine is not like an ore mine when you have a regular production of stone, basically every month. Sometimes you have production, sometimes you have no production. So when you work with people to do some sorting, it's very complicated because there are some periods there is no work for them. And there is some period there is too much work. So Marcelo, and also there is a problem with security. So 20 years ago, Marcelo went to optical sorting. And optical sorting was very good. And then this idea was taken again in Tanzanite 1, in green and ruby, in gemfields. So it enabled, to identify the stone per color. And it was enabling, the mine to work much better. But optical sorting, the problem is that the optical captor get dirty quickly. So last year, they moved to laser sorting. I don't know exactly the science behind it, but Marcelo explained to me that it's super efficient. I have to do some homework, but it was the first time in my career that I saw optical sorting. And I guess that in the future, there will be more optical sorting in some other mine in the world. And that would be interesting to see. What about more globally regarding colorstone mining? Well, we hear commonly that research and education are fundamental, and I totally agree. Now, the sad reality is that the gem industry has not invested too much in science. So I know very few PhD. There are many people, they mistake science with marketing. But when you look about science, like, something solid, like somebody is going to the field, not like me, one day or 10 days, spending 2 or 3 years in the field to work on a PhD, there are not so many places like that. The only PhD I know about a colorstone mine was done in 2010 by Rémi Canavesio, and he spent more than 4 years in Madagascar to see what was going on. So if you want to know about issue, and he's in geography, he's not in the gem trade. So he knows about, if you want to know about child labor, about that, this is a PhD, this is peer review, this is geography, totally independent of the gemstone mining, because he had found everything himself. No link with the gemstone industry, no support with the gemstone industry. So this is not like BA stuff written by a journalist or an activist who want to hit on the gem trade. This is peer review. Then there was another PhD. It took about 17 years to have another one. And this one is interesting. It's on geology. And this one was financed by a company, a Canadian company in Greenland. And now you have all these rubies coming from Mozambique, Madagascar, Tanzania, Malawi, and Greenland that are of a new type. They are not the marble type. They are not the basalt type like in Thailand. They are this amphibole type. The only piece of research that was done on them was done by Andrew Fagan, and it was published in 2018. And this is one of the reasons I wanted to work with Green and Ruby, because I wanted to compare the theory and the practice. And that was super interesting. And this PhD, if you want to learn more about this type of deposit, read that, because it might help you to understand the deposit in Eastern Africa that nobody has studied. Zero. Now, there is some other interesting thing. There was a big issue, for example, in Madagascar, because there are some gem-producing areas. They are not discovered all the time in the best place, the most accessible place. And there was this gem discovery that happened in 2016 in Madagascar in a protected area. And immediately, you had a lot of people, journalists, anti-mining activists who went to read on the gem trade and say that the sapphire industry is destroying, the habitat of the lemur, destroying thousands of hectares of forest. I went there. I counter the claim, but I'm just a small guy. The good thing is that was in 2017. The good thing is, after that, after my stuff, there was a university in Wales who decided to put a PhD on that to see if what was said was correct or what the journalists say was correct. And they put Katie Devenish to make this PhD. Zero support from the gem industry. I only provided some data, GPS and things like that. And she was able to basically prove that there was no evidence of increased forest loss from a mining rush in Madagascar eastern forest. So basically, she was able to prove with peer review that all the claims from the journalists, the BBC and things like that were basically what I call fake news. So what about research on new deposits? Because everybody is asking me, Vincent, where can one find, a source of stone? There is not enough stone in the market. Well, there are hundreds of researchers around the world. They are not exactly the PhD type. These are the researchers. Everybody is waiting. That's research in the colorstone industry. Everybody is waiting for a guy like that to give them a phone call and to say, I have found something good. That's the level of research in the colorstone industry regarding new deposit. It's very good, very efficient, because you have thousands of them sometimes, because these guys, they have to make a living. They don't get support from the industry. So they look, should I go to mine for gemstone? Or should I go to something else? Look at the gold price. Most of the people I know, if you go to colorstone area, there is very few people keep looking for colorstone because they make more money if they go to see gold. So in Tanzania, in Madagascar, most of the workforce that were before, working for gemstone, they went for gold. Same story in Mozambique. So the thousands of researchers on which the industry depend, most of them are going for gold mining. Now, there is a good thing. When they go for gold mining, sometimes they find gemstone, and there is a new deposit that is discovered. But if you want to have 1,000 people, working in an area in order to produce stone, these guys are not planning to produce stone. They want to go for gold. And then what about the other areas that were already known? Well, when the guys go to mine, after a while, everything that was easy to mine, like in Colombia, is mined already. And then in East Africa, what happened? It happened that they hit the water table. And then they cannot work anymore, because they were only given by dealers shovels and spade. They cannot work under the water table. So I can tell you in many places, like Ilaka and things like that, there is a lot of resources, but they are all underwater, and small-scale miners cannot access them. So everything that is under the water table is intact. But nobody is mining them because they cannot. So this is the kind of issue we have nowadays regarding colorstone production around the world for small-scale miners. Gold price super high, and everything that was easy to access was gone already. So not easy. I say that luck should not be the business plan. I believe that there are still many gem deposits to discover, and there are many gem deposits that can be understood better and can produce. Now, let's remember that there are 3 key points in gem mining. If you want to have a successful gem mining operation, you need 3 things. Geologists are required to find where the stones are. If you go to a place there are no stone, you have a problem. Then you need mining engineers in order to find a profitable way to mine them. And the third thing you need good management in order not to be stolen the gem and to bring them safely to the market. If you fail on any of these, you're dead. So for geologists to find where are the stones, they need to access good research. And in many cases, sadly, this is missing. There is very few geological work and mapping and things like that on most of the places that are currently the ones that might produce stone in the next future. Nobody is working on them. So I think that the industry should support more field science. Of course, geology, because we need to locate some deposits that will be providing stone, for the industry in the next generation, this century and the next one. But also in geography, social, and human science, if you want to understand better about the communities. And you cannot really go to work in a place if you don't understand the people. So we need not only research on how to identify a ruby from Mozambique compared to a ruby from Madagascar on the lab side. No, we need also to get some support about where to find rubies, where can we find new deposits, understand better, the rocks in this area in order to fine-tune where the stone for the future generation comes from. And then we need to understand also the geography, because when you go to a place to mine, you have to deal with the people. And if you don't do that, probably you have problems with the people, and then you will fail. So I would love to see more support from the industry for science, and also, not just geology, but also geography, social, and human science. Otherwise, luck will remain the industry global plan for the future. And we will depend on these guys. Thanks for this opportunity to speak. And if you have any question, I will be very happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Vincent. Thank you very much indeed. you said something that is very dear to me, which is investing in science, investing in geology, fieldwork, and geography. That was really important because, as you said, we need to know exactly where we are and who we are with. So that's really a critical importance. I'm sure that there are questions in the audience for Vincent. Well, if there is not one question, I have one for you. Well, I remember the first time you went to Mozambique, and this has to do with exactly what I've just said, because of some documentation reasons, or you were arrested, right?
No, I was detained.
Oh, you were detained, so it's different than being arrested.
I was put a gun on my face and I was detained for 3 days in the bush.
This is field gemology, ladies and gentlemen. So you must expect the unexpected.
Yeah, because we went with a Ministry of Mine. We went to get, meet the Ministry of Mine and get the authorization to. Nobody knew where was the deposit, so I had to go there to find where was the deposit. And there was only one car available in the area, and we went to see the Ministry of Mine, and they allowed us to go with a local geologist. And then for safety, they made a paper for the chief of the police in the area to have a policeman with us. So we took a car that we had to rent, that was the only available, and with a technician from the mine department and with a policeman in uniform. And then we drove to the deposit, and then there was no road, we had to take motorbike. And then after about 10 kilometers, we end up in an ambush because there were some people who ambushed us, and one of them was wearing an Osama bin Laden t-shirt. They were putting a gun on my face, and I could see that he was half drunk. It was 4 in the afternoon.
Very
and I was
safe.
thinking, okay, I will get killed. But my driver told me, don't worry, it's the police. So I said, okay, that's good. I'm happy about that. And then we were detained for 3 days because these policemen were not working with the mining department. They were working with the Ministry of Agriculture. In Mozambique, if you want to go to a place like something like that, you need to go to Ministry of Mine, Ministry of Agriculture, and Immigration. And you need to get all three knowledgeable about what you are doing. I didn't know about that. So we had only one ministry with us, and the two other ones were thinking that we bribed the guy from the Ministry of Mine. So they put everybody in the detention in the bush, the policeman, the guy from the Ministry of Mine, me, and my team.
Wow.
So, but the good thing about that is, thanks to that, I was able to get notice by the management of the Nyassa Reserve. I was able to send an email, introduce myself. Before, they were never answering my email. Then I got notice, and then 2 months later, I had the authorization to come back, and this time the guy who arrested me were my escort. So that was good.
That's a good story.
Yeah.
Brian, you have a question.
Yeah, someone has to ask a question. So, very interesting. For example, Cajun started as a small mine, and then a company came in. I was amazed at how much overburden is removed, yet still profitable. That's interesting.
Well, for me also it's interesting because when I visit Kajem, you can speak with people from the field, you have algae there. Every time I meet Kajem, they tell me, oh, we are planning to go underground. But they are looking at the market price for emerald, but it seems that the market price for emerald are still going in a way that is profitable for them to continue, the open pit. So it all depends about, miners are clever, they see if you want to go underground, maybe they will have to stop mining for 2 years in order to bring some new team, plan the underground thing and things like that. Currently, they are still doing open pit from what I understand, Algeria, right? Yeah.
So also your opinion, because the artisanal scale miners have no capital, how do we get the support to do the studies and the research, the geology? For example, in Bahia, I know that the state government did invest in drilling program in Carnaíba, which delineated an extension of their deposit, which allowed the mine to continue operating for the last 20 years.
Well, for example, in Mozambique, you had the World Bank who financed a program about geological mapping because the geological map were not really correct. So you had some program, for example, from the World Bank, and they made the whole new geological map of Mozambique. And this map is the earliest reference about the presence of ruby near Montepuez.
Yeah.
Because there was a Chinese company who built the road, so they find the ruby when they build the road, and the first publication about ruby presence in that place is on the geological map of the World Bank. So if you want to know, you want to plan anything in Mozambique, get that map. There is a lot of very interesting information there. But this information is probably not enough. For example, the Montepuez complex, where you have gemfields, fura, and gem rock mining, there is not one article in geology about that. So I think, and what I would like to see more, collaboration between the gem industry and universities. Yeah. Universities, they have resource in very qualified people. They have people who know about geology. In gemology, we don't know too much about geology, but I would like to see more, collaboration between laboratories, between institutions in the gem industry and universities. I know GA is doing that, and that's great, but they are nearly the only one doing that.
Brazil
This needs to be a little bit more widespread.
Brazil is actually very blessed with a very good geological survey. They have incredible maps. So the artisanal mining community could be using that, but they don't know about it. So I think that's part of our job, is to make that connection, that link.
That's a very good point.
The time is now. We're all talking
and geography
about
is the same. There are universities studying geography.
Right.
They have really qualified people to find out if there is really child labor, if there is really that. The problem in the industry, except the big mines, they have some people in the ground. But most of the gem industry don't have a permanent, footprint on the ground. So it means basically we don't really know what is ongoing. The only, program that I know about going regularly in the field was done by GA with the field gemology department. But the other lab, what are they doing? They are getting their sample in Tucson, and they call that good. I'm sorry, that's not the way to go. And sometimes they write articles that, oh, sorry, we did a mistake. These emeralds are not coming from Afghanistan. Sorry, they are coming from Zambia. We were trusting our supplier. Wow.
Well, yeah, the GIA program is doing that for the entire community, the entire world. It's really
But
it's
AHS
great.
was doing also, Googling was doing at one time. You don't need to be the GA. You don't just need to be willing to do the right thing. And you start at your level, exactly like one person from GA was saying 2 years ago, you identify something where you think you can make a difference and you do it. If I can do things with my own salary, I'm sorry, but everybody here, we can do something.
I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. There is another question.
Well, thanks, Vincent, for sharing your full experience. And watching your presentation, I share with Brian all the last days about how we are missing a great opportunity here in Brazil. It's not a question, but it's an invitation, what I'm going to do now. You have a great experience. We have most part of the leaders of the gem industry here. I'm thinking and we have the same problems here in Brazil with the small scale mining. We have the same problems in Sri Lanka, in Thailand, in Mozambique, all the African countries, as we had been watching in the last days here. So why not to create a kind of program, PDF with the basic guidelines, and we could use as a kind of a formal letter for the entire supply chain. So we could present to our stakeholders. For example, here in Brazil, we have the Minister of Mining in general. In Mozambique, every country has your legal entity for taking care of those. We have so many knowledge between here with everybody. So if you could try to put this knowledge in one document and with all the guidelines, how we could create richness for aquamarine, tourmaline, emerald, even with the diamond experience as we saw here in this morning. Anyway, it's just an idea, but I think we should have a letter, a PDF, where we should, work and promote those information, how to start a small scale mining until all those ESG and having this, richness in the retail basis. Anyway, it's just an idea. Because my point is, the legal entities, they have no idea, they don't have a clue how to do that. And we are small companies. We are in a very fragile situation. Our supply chain is in a fragile situation. So if we could have a kind of partnership, ICA, all the GEM labs, well, we are talking about open innovation happening on the land. That's the idea.
Well, my answer to that is very simple. Just get a PhD done. Somebody do a PhD, the first thing they will do, they will collect all the information available, then they will go to see the stakeholder, and you will have a document like 500 pages by somebody who is qualified with some peer review about that. And then you can use this PhD by other people, who will summarize and will extract things from this PhD in order to make something, in order to help others. And in Brazil, you have a lot of resources because you have a huge mining industry, not just for gemstone, but for the rest. You have one of the best technology in the world about mining. You know about mining in Brazil. You know about your place. You know about gems. A PhD put everything together to answer one question, and then you make things that are useful, for other people. That's not something that is impossible to do. You just need to have some bridges, I think, between the gem industry and the universities that are working in this domain. And they would love to have some support from the gem industry. For example, to have access to some mine and to be able to collaborate between the mine and the university. But when I see the mine at Belmont, this is probably the most modern colorstone underground operation I have seen. And for the past 20 years, everybody is looking at what Belmont is doing and they are copying what Belmont is doing. So Marcelo is a gem. And the whole industry, the business plan is, let's see what Marcelo is doing. Oh, that sounds good. Optical sorting, tick, 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 tick. Or now laser sorting, tick, tick, tick. You will see in the next few years, people will have laser sorting. They will go to see Tom Rand, they will get their laser sorting.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Vincent. It was amazing. You need a photo op before?
Okay.